Okay, now I will try to introduce you about the clinical interactive system. We will go deeply into it. So, what is clinical interactive system? And if you have questions, we will keep the question and answers at the end. So, basically, we will try to understand from the perspective of the students. So, what is happening in a clinical interactive system? So, which kind of people should join a clinical interactive system? And it is like any other department, like you have pharmacovigilance, you have clinical data management, you have regulatory writing. There are different branches in clinical research. One of the branches is clinical interactive response system. Okay, basically we will check what is it. It is a system means it is a computer application where you can start a clinical trial. If you want to start the clinical trial, you have to use clinical interactive system. To conduct the clinical trial, you have to use clinical interactive system. A particular clinical trial is said to be completed when you complete that in a clinical interactive system. So basically what it contains, it contains clinical trial design. So how do you randomize, how do you ship medication? So all these things are there in this system. Okay, we will go deep into it. First one is, so to understand clinical interactive system, so what knowledge you need to have? You need to have good knowledge about the technology. Technology means now you are into AI, right? So you have to have good knowledge about AI. You have to have good knowledge about coding, programming, how system testing is done, how the system is designed. So we will go deeply into each and everything. Technology, you need to have good knowledge about medicine, surgery, and also for when coming to pharmacy, you have to clearly understand pharmacodynamics, pharmacokinetics of the drug, and safety parameters of the drug. In the same way, devices and procedures. For example, if you are conducting a clinical trial on any procedure, any surgery, so you have to have complete knowledge about it. So if you want to shine in clinical interactive system, so these are all the things you need to have. uh, People who are interested in all these things should come to clinical interactive system. So basically, clinical interactive system, you can compare it with a ocean. Uh, why we compare it with a ocean? Because it's the knowledge you have to gain in this clinical interactive system is huge. It is not like any other system. This is completely different. So I have spent almost 15 years of my time in clinical interactive system, but I'm still learning it. So such is the vastness of this clinical interactive system. So it is a huge one, not a simple one. It is completely uh, a system of itself. And the difference between clinical interactive system and other systems is, for example, pharmacovigilance. You have lot of books, lot of blogs where you can get the knowledge. Or if you take clinical data management, you have lot of books, lot of knowledge you can get from different people. But this clinical interactive system, there are no books, nothing. So even if you go and search what is clinical interactive system, any material, you will not find any material regarding clinical interactive system. Why we are not able to find? Why? What is the difficulty? Because it's so difficult that people are not able to produce any book or any material for clinical interactive system. This has some advantages and some disadvantages. We will look deeply into it. Okay, and it is not a simple ocean, it is a turbulent ocean. Why I am saying turbulent ocean is, the main differentiator between clinical interactive system and you take any other clinical system other than clinical interactive system, the main difference is unblinded data. You will have unblinded data which has to be masked, and the mask has to be maintained. All other system will not have unblinded data, they will have only blinded data. If there is one system in clinical research and it has unblinded data, that is this clinical interactive system. And also why it is so turbulent means, why people find it difficult to maintain, difficult to build, is first system. If anything has to be done in clinical trial, for example, if we want to get a patient into clinical trial, this clinical interactive system is used. When patient have side effect, you have to record here everything. Whatever you do to the patient, first it has to be recorded in the clinical interactive system. Once you do it in this, then the data is taken to other systems. So always there will be urgency. If anything happens, any issues with clinical interactive system, it has to be resolved then and there. You cannot wait, you cannot say I will do it tomorrow. So for example, if it is a clinical data management system, you can enter the data tomorrow or day after tomorrow, but in interactive system everything has to be solved now. Otherwise other systems will not work, because data is going from this system to other systems. One more problem with this is everything is reactive. You cannot predict any problems that is occurring in the system. So for example, if the patient is randomized to a wrong treatment group, until he is randomized, you cannot predict that he is randomized in the wrong treatment group. There is no proactive things that can be done in clinical interactive system. Everything is reactive. If some mistake happens, you have to react to it, but you cannot predict that mistake, what is going to happen. Because of these things, many people find clinical interactive system is difficult. Okay. And if you consider clinical interactive system in the middle, for example, if this is the skeleton, okay, if you consider clinical research as a human body, we can consider IRT or clinical interactive system as a skeleton. Around the skeleton, all other things are built. For example, your respiratory system, your reproductive system, or your integumentary or skin, your excretory system. So you can consider respiratory system as pharmacovigilance, or something as clinical data management. Okay, regulatory submissions. Okay, so this acts as a base skeleton on which other systems of clinical trials depends on it. Okay, so this, if the skeleton is correct only, then all the systems are correct. If this is defective, so all the things which you are doing in other systems will go wrong. Such is the importance of clinical interactive system. This is a branch, that this is a main branch of clinical trials, where all the other branches you take are arranged around this clinical interactive system. If something goes wrong in this system, everything will be defective. For example, if there is problem in clinical data management, the problem stays there only, it will not go to other things, right? But if there is a problem in clinical interactive system, it is seen in all other branches. That's the reason such is the importance of clinical interactive system. There are some advantages and disadvantages of this clinical interactive system. What are the advantages to the students or the employees? If any company wants resources, it is very difficult for them to get, because people who know about clinical interactive response system are very less. And if these people lose the job, it is difficult for them to find the job again. Okay, it is like a double-edged knife. When resources are wanted, companies will not get. When you lose job, you will not get a new job. Okay, so that's the reason, compared to any other branches of clinical trials, this is the highly paid one. So you are paid heavily in this clinical interactive system, because it is difficult to learn, it is difficult. See, for example, in the first batch we were 10 students. Out of one, only I survived for last 15 years. Everyone dropped in the middle, maybe within 1 or 2 years, everyone dropped. So such is the difficulty in learning clinical interactive system. But if you are good at it, I have shown you some requiremets, right? You need to know about technology, you need to know about medicine, you need to know about surgery, you need to be thorough about pharmacodynamics and pharmacokinetics. So if you are interested in this, you will be highly paid. This is a compared to any other branch, you are paid heavily in this. And next one, why companies like uh, clinical interactive system? So other systems, you have to spend more, you need to have more people in other systems, but you are the revenue which the company gets is very less. See, here the dollar sign is low, and the people and the expenditure on a particular system is very high. But you compare to clinical interactive system, you need to invest very low amount, but the returns are high. I have worked around 10 companies I'm currently working as consultant for many IRT companies. Always in a particular company, highest revenue generator is IRT. If they have 10 different products in it, for example, they have CDM, they have regulatory submissions. In almost all 10 of the organizations where IRT is present, highest revenue generator is always IRT, but highest risky business is always IRT. So most of the companies doesn't want to go to IRT because it is highly risky. Risky in the sense, if there is a small amount of unblinding, entire trial will go wrong and the CEO of that particular company has to meet in the court. So such is the danger within the IRT. So it is like a double-edged knife. Okay, so you will get high revenue, but risk is also very high. Yeah, any questions till now? So we will next go into what is exactly IRT, what it does. Before going to that, any questions till now on this? So we will go to the next part. What IRT exactly does, or what interactive clinical interactive system is exactly does. One is treatment assignment, right? When you are conducting a clinical trial, the patient has come. So whether to assign a placebo to the patient, or to which treatment arm is it, he has to be randomized. It is decided by a IRT system, whether we have to assign him to the placebo group or active group or test group, reference group. That is decided by a IRT system. Once a treatment group is assigned and a particular visit is considered, it will assign the kits, that is medication, to the patient, randomizing the patient, assigning the treatment patient to a treatment group. Once he is assigned to the treatment group, giving the medicine, correct medicine to him is taken care by IRT system. And also supplies management. So if there is one depot in US and the clinical trial is happening around the world, maybe in India, maybe in Africa, how this medicine is distributed. So when the medicine has to be distributed at each site, how much amount of medicine has to be present. So everything related to the supplies. So there is a central depot which is supplying throughout the world. It is called central depot. And there is a regional depot. The regional depot is a depot which supplies to multiple countries. For example, there is one depot in US, that is central depot, and one regional depot in Asia. In that Asia, again you will have local depots. Local depots, within regional depot there is local depot. For example, central depot is in US, regional depot is in China, and local depots are in India, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan. So how do you ship the medication? In each site, how much medication has to be maintained, how many placebo kits, how many active kits, all this is decided and done by clinical interactive response system. And also next one is accountability. Once you complete the clinical trial, all the supplies has to be accounted, right? So, in a particular visit, how many capsules he has taken, how many he has left, what is the compliance. For example, in a month, if he has to take 30 tablets and he has taken 30 tablets, then the compliance is 100%. But if in a month there are 30 days, right, and the patient has taken only 15 tablets in a month, then the compliance is only 50%. He did not take complete medication. So all this supplies accountability and returning the kits, everything is done by IRT system. And also IRT system includes electronic clinical outcome assessment and ePRO. You might have known about ePRO, right? ePRO and eCOA. ePRO is electronic patient reported outcome. If patient is reporting something, how do you capture it? That is through electronic clinical outcome assessment. So these are the five major functions. There is one more major function I forgot to enter into it, that is code break. Code break happens when there is emergency. Okay, the clinical trial is going on and the patient is consider that is a blinded trial. The investigator or the team doesn't know to which treatment arm the patient belongs, whether it is active treatment arm or placebo treatment arm, and there is an SAE. The investigator has to know which medicine he is giving. At that time, you come to IRT system, enter the patient details, and the IRT system will give you whether it is placebo group or active group. That is known as code break. Even code break is a part of IRT. Basically, this is a software, this is a technology, it is an application. Okay, we will look into that. I have given deeply what the application look, how it looks, everything in the next slides. Okay. Yeah, this is the architecture. Basically, this is a software, as you said, and every organization will have this software. For example, take Novartis. Novartis is a company, right? I can consider Novartis is a company. Just take them example. Organization I can take as Novartis or any other company. This is just an example. In that organization, they will have multiple studies. Study 1, study 2, right? It can be one randomized study. This can be second randomized study. Under each study, they will have different modules. So patient module, or medication management module, supplies accountability module. So each study will have different modules. Basically, this is a architecture of the system. We will look into it in the next slide. So basically, this is a system or software. This is how it looks. For example, organization I have taken as Novartis. So on study 1, maybe it is a diabetes study. Okay, study is diabetes study, study 1. In that you will have a home page. Okay, in that study you will design the study, how to randomize, how to, what are all the things need to be there in this study module. That is the brain of this one. Subjects, where you randomize the subject, where you discontinue the subject, where you code break the subject, comes under this study subjects module. In the same way, supplies. So if you want to get the supplies, you want to destroy the supplies, everything is done here. Next one is accountability. So once a clinical trial is completed, what are all the kits you have, they have to be accounted. Maybe for how many kits the patient, how many tablets the patient has used, how many he did not use, all those comes under accountability module. Notifications and alerts, right? When something happens in a clinical trial, when a patient is randomized, email notification has to be generated. That is done by this notifications and alert module. And next one is reports. So you want to see how many patients are randomized in this clinical trial, or how many are code broken, how many uh, screenings are done, everything comes under this reports. Next one is changes. If you want to make any changes, for example, at a particular site, instead of entering patient's age as 28, the investigator has entered 38. How do you correct it? By using this changes module, the investigator will correct those mistakes. And audit trail. Audit trail, you all know, it captures who has done, when it has done, what they have done. Everything captures in the audit trail. Basically, this is a system. This is a software that is developed for clinical trial activities. Then how this system is made? First, you collect the requirements, how the system has to look, how, what are the functionality you need in the system. Then you develop means you code it, you test it, and you deploy it. After coding, testing, you have to validate it. Validation means testing whether the system is working correctly or not. So every system undergoes these three things. One is requirements, development, and validation. All the three things are important to make a clinical system. Next one is developmental life cycle. So first you plan how the system should look, right? All the timelines and everything you plan. Then you design the system. So I need these many modules. For example, I need patient management module, I need supplies management module. After you design, you develop it. It means development means basically coding. You code it and you test the code. Both coding and testing comes under development. Once the system is developed, what you have to do next? You have to validate it. Validate it means whether it is working in all the systems. Is it working in Chrome browser? Is it working in Firefox browser? So everything you test, that is validation. Once the validation is also done, you manage the system. When the system goes live, there will be a lot of issues in live as well. You have to manage those live issues as well. Once you think the technology is done, clinical trial is done, and this technology is no more, maybe after 20 years, 30 years, you need to build a new system with new technology, then you retire the system. So basically, this is the software development life cycle: planning, design, development, validation, management, and retirement. So this is true for other companies, other systems also, but it is also true for clinical systems. So this is how an IRT system is build. So there are two things. How to do any clinical system, you have to follow these two things. One is how to do will be told in 21 CFR part 11 or annexure 11. This is for Europe and this is for US studies. And how to do it is GAMP. So you have to follow this. What to do will be told in 21 CFR part 11 and annexure 11. How to do it is GAMP. We will look deeply into these things, how these are applied to clinical interactive response system. This is computer system validation. So first you have to have project specification, product specification, architecture specification, so and also system design. These are validation, right? Installation qualification, operational qualification, performance qualification, these comes under validation. These comes under build. Project specification, how the project should look, and product specification, how a particular product should look. Okay. And architecture, what type of architecture you are using, so what type of tendency, so are you using which technology you are using, are you using .NET, or what database you are using, SQL server, and what email system. For example, normally we use elastic email. So all the technical specifications, all the requirement specifications comes under right hand side. And how to test, how to validate, how to make the system is working fine, this is all comes under validation. Both building the system and validating the system are important, and those are the part of computer system validation. If you are interested in technology, if you join any clinical research organization or a product based research organization, these are very important for you to know these things. For example, if you want to develop a system for pharmacovigilance, you have to know all these things. If you want to develop a system for uh, system clinical data management system, this is how the system is built. So this is common in clinical research organizations. And coming to computer system validation, so this there are category 1, category 2, category 3, 4, 5. Clinical IRT comes under category 4, configurable software. What is meant by configurable software is system is ready, you have to just configure it. For example, if you want randomization, you will just put a tick to randomization and the randomization module is open. You will not go and build randomization module from scratch again. So configuration means whatever you want, you just select it so that system behaves accordingly. If you want to build such type of systems, then you have to follow computer system validation. It comes under category 4. Normally almost all the IRT systems or clinical interactive systems comes under category 4. This is the agile methodology you follow. You plan the project, you design it, you code it, you test it, you deploy it. You deploy means making it live, and review it. Any problems you will review it. Again this cycle continues. This is known as agile sprint. Normally this is followed in software companies. Same thing we follow in software for clinical trials as well, and also that is true with clinical interactive system. Any questions you have on this regarding job opportunities or whatever you have? This is one of the important and very interesting branches of clinical trials, and it is also very difficult branch and interesting branch. If you are really interested in going deep into clinical trials and learning the things, this is the best uh, system for you and best branch for you to enter. Okay, one what entry level roles you have here, right? So basically uh, I started into this clinical research, clinical trial interactive system in 2012. I started as a project associate. Okay, from associate level to head of the department. So there are many entry levels. In a project associate, you will be helping the project managers, and there are again two types of project managers who build the system, okay, and who execute the system. So there are two types, two basic level, and also product, who build a product. So in order to have this, someone has to build the product, right? That is product. They should be good at creativity. They should be able to find new solutions for the problems. If you have the ability to find new solutions, then you have to go into product development. Or else you are interested in building the study. For example, Novartis comes and they give a clinical trial for maybe for respiratory diseases. So you analyze the respiratory disease, what type of respiratory disease is, and you build a system for them. Okay, you configure the system and give it. That comes under build. Once the build is done and once the clinical trial is started, patients start coming in, that is execution. So that is live. So basically there are three types of positions: build and conduct and product. So based on your interest, you can select, you can take whichever sub branch within clinical interactive system. The jobs ranges from project associate to CEO as well. Some companies are completely dedicated only to clinical interactive system. The examples are endpoint clinical. Endpoint clinical, they conduct only IRT and CNDUIT. CNDUIT. Okay, these are the two examples of the company. They have only interactive system. Other than interactive system, they don't do anything. There are other companies where they do other things. In one of the branches is uh, clinical interactive system. For example, perceptive. There are other things in perceptive as well, or bioclinical. So one of the products they have is clinical IRT. It ranges from simple project associate to CEO. In the middle, you have many roles, and these are the three main branches: to build, to execute, to build the product. So this type of thing, job roles you find here. See, what requirements they are looking are mainly. This is completely different for IRT tool. IRT tool is completely different from other tools in a clinical trial. If you want to use other tools in a clinical trial, you need just clinical knowledge. For other tools, for IRT, they are looking for two things: clinical plus technology. You have to be good at both. If you are interested in your medical subjects and if you are interested in technology, this is the right branch for you. So just with clinical knowledge also you can enter into this. Just with technical knowledge also you can enter into clinical IRT. But you want to excel in your job, you need both. This is not true with any other branch, but especially in IRT you need both. The people who are good at clinical, all the medical subject, medicine, surgery, pharmacology, pharmacodynamics, pharmacokinetics. Okay, so other clinical branches as well. So you have to be good at pharmacovigilance. See, basically this is a clinical trial design, right? If you want to understand a clinical trial design, you have to know everything about clinical and also technology. So what code base they are using, what coding they are using, for example .NET, right? Or SQL server, this is the database. What front end they are using, Angular, or whatever the technology. If you are good at both clinical and technology, maybe you need not go deep into technology, you need not know everything about .NET, but you have to know something. So how the system is programmed, and how the system, the front end is built, how the database is built. So basics in technology and in-depth knowledge in clinicals is very essential to excel in clinical interactive system. Or else you just want to go at 9 in the morning, come at 5 in the evening. So anything is fine, but if you want to excel, you need to be good at these two things. Yeah. Someone is asking, can we learn how to operate this system and any training, etc.? Yeah, there are a lot of trainings can be given. So but each and every system is different. Different companies build different systems. Once you go into that particular company, they will in-depth train you on how to use those systems. Is IRT system integrated with EDC platforms? Yeah, uh, many of the IRT systems are integrated with EDC platforms. EDC plus IRT. Okay, so there should be integration between IRT and EDC. So rather than manually entering the details that are captured in IRT into EDC, again, if you have integration, whatever the data captured in IRT will directly go and sit in EDC. So integration is a common thing we do between IRT and any other EDC system. So if a particular company X is having IRT system and the sponsor is having another EDC system from another company, there are a lot of technology improvements in IRT so that these two systems are integrated. EDC and IRT are integrated. There can be one-way integration directly from IRT to EDC. Two-way integration is one-way integration is IRT to EDC. Two-way integration is EDC to IRT. So both one-way integration and two-way integration we see commonly in IRT systems and between EDC system. There are other systems that are integrated, but most common one is EDC. Out of 100 studies, if I take 100 studies, almost 70% of the studies will say we want integration, but 30% of the studies say we don't want integration, we want to run them separately. But 70% of the sponsors prefer integration between IRT and EDC system.